my point that when you make something which you love, eventually people are going to love that.
I mean, we of course interact with a lot of young designers, and a lot of young designers are kind of torn between setting up just like having a curated platform of a bunch of products, or like really focusing on storytelling, bringing together a certain aesthetic and connecting with our consumers.
Don't follow the trend, it's a trap. Show your product, but don't bombard your products. Tell people how are they made. Show them the feel and experience. Summer is coming, so I'll come up with summer collection. Winter is coming, so I'll come up with winter collection. Festive is coming, so I'll come up with festive collection. No, why? When I am trying to make clothes which I want people to own it for the longest period of time, then why do I want to contradict that? Then I'm lying.
I feel like that one-on-one connection with customers is something that we don't necessarily get as much online.
So, like, we've renamed our sizes. Our medium is called modest. Our large is called liberal. XL is called generous. And whichever we take measurements as a custom size from clients, even if it is online, those entire outfits goes with a tag called your size. How do you price something which is an emotional labor and a handcrafted quality luxury? Bring that balance where you do not go completely overboard in pricing, and you're also not being very underpriced.
Welcome back to the Ikivi podcast. I'm your host, Nivi Murthy, and today we're joined by Karishma Shah, the founder of Peony, a brand built on intuitive design and sustainability. With a background in fine arts and curatorial experience, Karishma approaches fashion as a medium of self expression, prioritizing emotion and connection over fashion trends. In this episode, we explore her journey, what led her to start Peony, the challenges she faces building a sustainable, conscious brand, how she balances sustainability with business growth. We're so excited for you to listen in to this conversation. Now let's get started. Thank you so much, Karishma, for joining me today. I am very excited to have you on. We've had the brand with us for a while now, and I personally have tested out a few products, and I absolutely love them. But before we get into the details of the brand, I'd love to hear a little bit about you. Where it all began, and why did you start Peony?
It's a very fascinating story actually. First of all, let me thank you for having me here. And I was so glad that you have actually tried our clothes, worn them, and carried it so well. So about Peony. Peony has very happened to me accidentally, honestly speaking. I do not come from a fashion background at all. My background is art. I have done fine arts. And I was working, and I'm still working as an art curator also. I do art curation. My mom has been running a boutique since I was a child. I've always grown up seeing her making clothes and working. And I never actually went out to buy any clothes. Everything and anything she made for me. Whether it was my first farewell in school, or it was my wedding trousseau, or if I have to go for a party, or if I have to curate a show and I want to represent myself as everything, she has made my clothes. I think I was very lucky that way.
Yeah.
What more do you want that someone who is so close to you, like a mother, is making clothes for you? And she used to run a very small boutique in a small three-tier city called Surat. And I've grown up seeing her, and she's very creative. She's always been into handwork, um, hand-woven fabrics. I've seen her and my nanny wearing silks and cottons and ikats, and she used to do a lot of hand embroidery. I've seen all this. I've grown up seeing this. Something which, true things to fall in love with. But over the period of time, when I was doing my own work, I kind of in the background kept on seeing that, somewhere my mom is got into this rat race trap where
Mm.
we all go through. When a creative person works with a perspective or keeping in mind as making a business sustainable, that's where the actual struggle or the rocking starts. And I could see that,
Mm.
and I was constantly viewing that, and I was observing that, her creativity was going in the background, and she started making clothes what people wanted. She kind of
Mm.
became more as an executor than someone who was putting her a lot of heart and soul in what she would love to design. And I kept on telling her that, do what you like, do what you love. I'm sure you want something what a customer or a consumer needs, but you stick to what you love. Don't make things which you don't fall in love with. But
Mm.
I don't think so. As an older generation, she actually got me. And I don't know what happened to me out of a very frustrated mind. When you feel that, oh, mom is not getting me. I got very frustrated and I told her that, can I have a lot of events coming up, I have a lot of traveling coming up. Can you make some 15-20 pair of clothes for me? You won't believe the first reaction of hers was, are you mad? You want 15-20 pair of clothes? Who buys or who wants 20 pair of clothes at one go? I'm like,
Yeah.
please, I really have a lot of shows coming up and I have to travel. Somehow, cutting down the story, I managed to convince her to make clothes for me, 15-20 pair of clothes. And she did that. And I never had to tell her what I love. She knows. Like, she knows what
Mm.
we love, you know. And she
Mm.
made that. Only thing is, while she was making the clothes, I kind of had this in my mind that it looks like a one language.
Mm.
And she made, and I just decided to do a pop up of those 20 clothes. And I asked a friend, she lives in a small cozy bungalow, and I said, can we do a pop up at your place? We'll just send an invite and everyone. We decided that. I didn't tell my mom. Suddenly, then I thought that, okay, this needs to have a new identity. I never thought it will reach to where I'm sitting right now. Honestly speaking, it was a very impromptu, experimenting thing, which a stubborn daughter needed to prove her point to a stubborn mother. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I got a name. The peony name is only for her. It's actually a name of a flower. And the meaning of that flower and the characteristics of that flower really goes very well with my mom. So I decided the name Peony. I'm basically a graphic designer. I designed the logo. I asked a friend to become a model. Early morning, like, taking 2 cups of coffee and my camera. We just went out and we shot her, and I created a lookbook. I started an Instagram page and I just created that there's a pop up happening in the name of Peony, and I told mom that we're doing this pop up. She was a little bit, what is happening? I said, just chill, relax. These are my clothes. We did the pop up. We got an amazing response. People loved the way it was, that one language, the silhouettes, the fabrics, and everything. We got completely sold out and we got a lot of orders. That's it.
Mm.
My job was only this
Mm.
much. My job was
Mm.
only this much, and I only in the night I told her, this is what I was trying to tell you. Just do this.
Yeah. So
And
when was this? What year was this?
this was 2017.
Okay. Okay.
And she said, yeah, you have a point. She agreed. She was very overwhelmed. But then she continued doing the same thing parallelly. And I kind of, within
Mm.
my parallel with my own work, I kept on seeing any opportunities if it is coming, once, if a nice, interesting pop up or curation is coming. We took participation in a pop up where we can show a small rack of peony. So 2017 we did this like a launch pop up. Then 2018 I told her a very nice opportunity is coming. Let's do again. Again same thing. I told her no size, nothing. Just make clothes for me. My size, my
Mm.
taste, your taste, our taste. Did that in
Yeah.
2018. Went very good. Parallelly, I was doing my own art curation. In between, she continued what work she was doing because she also had to sustain her own clients and everything. 2019 again we participated back to back like 3 years. We did only one pop up a year, and
Mm-hmm.
I was a passive participate participant of Peony. And then
So,
2019 20, I just saw a space opposite a cafe, which is a very small space. I took that on rent, thinking I'll work from that office and we'll create a space which is Peony. I just made a small
mm-hmm.
space which goes with the ethos of Peony and the color palette and everything. I made that. I did a setup with no hi-fi, any interior design. Called my mom, dad, that we are going for a cafe to new cafe to have coffee. Took a coffee, brought them here, and said, "I just wanted to show you some space." And my mom was like, "This is looking so pretty," and I said, "This is Peony, and this is for you."
Yeah.
And then I told her, "See, I built up a clientele for you. I proved my point that when you make something which you love, eventually people are going to love that. I made the space also for you. Now you have everything. Now you run this. My job is done." And just before we were going to open the space, the COVID happened.
Yeah.
And we could never open it, we could never launch it. And once the lockdown got opened, of course, senior citizens were not allowed. So I was sitting here. Then my dad got a paralytic attack. So mom had to be attentive to him. Parallelly, I was sitting here doing my own art curation work and I was handling a little bit, giving Master G a little bit of work and all that. And I don't know how I just got involved, and me and mom started doing this. And gradually, the way I build up the language, the
Mm-hmm.
ethos, the system, the color
Mm-hmm.
palette, bringing new fabrics, introducing linen, she kind of started feeling very overwhelming also. And you know how like a father feels when the son starts taking over.
Yeah.
She kind of became very relaxed that, now I can get retired. And initially, I felt like, okay, this was for you, not for me. But eventually, I also started enjoying, and I kind of got a very new language and a new medium to work with to do my
Mm.
storytelling, how I used to do my storytelling through art curation.
Yeah. So I'd love to get into that aspect of it now that you've told me your side to it. We'll touch upon the fashion aspect a little bit in terms of being a sustainable brand and what that means and the business side of things. But I'd love to understand your thought process in setting up a brand language for Peony and what that process was like, because we of course interact with a lot of young designers, and a lot of young designers are kind of torn between setting up just like having a curated platform of a bunch of products, or like really focusing on storytelling, bringing together a certain aesthetic and connecting with our consumers. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on how, or rather your story on how you kind of brought in that whole brand language for the brand.
So, see, if you ask me, um, coming from a background of a graphic designer and a creative field and the art field, we all have some kind of a very stubborn OCD towards design
Yeah, and a certain feel towards it,
and
a
certain
certain
feel.
aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have learned growing up, we've taught, we have been, things have been engraved in us that even if something is imperfect, how to make it look perfect, imperfectly
Mm,
perfect, or perfectly imperfect.
yeah.
So when you ask me, there was never a plan, there was never a goal. Everything just
Mm,
happened very organically. Like when I had to find a name, I just found a name and a flower because my mom is very much close to nature.
mm-hmm.
I think apart from creativity, if you will see her, she's always planting, growing something at home. She also eats some flower petals. Like she keeps doing experimenting. So that from there it came the name, the logo design.
So what I'm feeling is like, is it all kind of a decision that you made from your gut and how you are feeling?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely gut. And you
Yeah.
know, when your gut says something, your gut doesn't say that I'm very sure about it. Your gut actually tells you the gut tells you to do something, but it also throws a lot of butterflies. Where there's a constant unsurety, anxiety.
So how do you tackle that, and how do you kind of trust your gut? I'm on that journey of like really listening to myself a lot more. And I
That
know we're
journey
kind of going
is
off tangent, but like
this
I'd love to
journey
hear.
of following the heart and the gut and listening to the mind is never going to stop. This
Yeah,
conflict is never going to stop. I don't think so. You, or anybody can give you a formula to it.
yeah.
But um, because I think there's some kind of an awareness comes with this creative background, that somehow,
Mm,
no matter what your mind says, no matter what the atypical structure says, you always kind of want to follow your gut and your heart. And of course,
yeah,
I've taken the path where uh, I've chosen certain paths and taken certain decisions which are practical, logical, uh, industrial thought process, what the constant structure of running a business or a clothing brand or clothing designing a collection. I've also fallen into that track. But
mm,
I never fell in love with that. And I had to somewhere leave that path or go back 5, 6 steps back and start my journey again, saying, no, I want to follow this only.
So, how do you run a business keeping in mind both of these two aspects, right? Like, there is this business aspect of it where there is some analysis required, there is a business plan, there are goals involved, there are numbers involved, but there's also, especially with a fashion brand or a creative brand, like, there is that much amount of gut instinct that's required and that much beauty that's involved that really doesn't have why this is
Yeah.
this way because of this, right? Like, how do you kind of balance the two?
See, balance is a word which just comes, stays there, and goes away.
Yeah, true.
It's never that finally you found the balance and it will always stay. It'll come, it will give you a confirmation, it will give you small victories, and then another something comes up.
Yeah.
Again you wobble, you're again on a rocking chair, you're not finding the rhythm, and then finally you find the rhythm of your rocking chair. And then you feel, okay, now I'm relaxed.
Hmm.
Then something else comes up. So I think every step this comes, every step I have found my rhythm, I've found my center, and then something else comes up. Again, you go through that, and then again you find your own center, and you find your own calmness and peace, and you feel, I don't know, you will feel that you're doing right. There are a
Yeah.
lot of noises comes from outside. I do start listening to them, and the moment I
Yeah.
start listening to them, I go into a extreme self doubt, and then I have to tell myself,
Yeah.
no, no.
Yeah.
So when you
I
are
know.
asking something, yes, it is a tough part when you want to do something which is very emotionally connected to you, and you want to carry forward that emotional connection through your work within you and pass it on when it reaches to the consumer.
Correct.
And to balance that and maintain that, considering you are running a brand, a business, analytics, numbers, sales, and the other factors, the, everything, yes, becomes too overwhelming. Does becomes very overwhelming. But I think what I have realized is it's not necessary to take the standard path. It
Mm.
works for some people, it doesn't work for some people. Like if you ask me,
Yeah.
my entire last year, uh, I did go through this entire circle of um getting a visibility, being on the stores, trying to do exhibitions, and this new thing, new technology of meta ads, which I still
Yeah.
don't get it. But then I tried and I failed. But I
Yeah.
think I didn't fail. I failed using that formula. Probably that's not for me. It works for
Hmm.
somebody, but it doesn't work for everybody.
That's interesting. So what would you say is your strength, or what is the way that you are communicating your story? And then I'll get to another question, which is more about how important telling that story is, and is that important for all brands, or is that important to Peony?
See, if you ask me my story, my goal, it always started. I still don't consider myself as a fashion designer. I still cannot actually, tell myself looking into my mirror also that, I design clothes. No, if I'll say that, I'm saying a lie to myself and to the world.
Mm,
I think I'm just using my observation, reflection, and transformation um, while solving the problems using the design element and creative as my tool. So I'll
mm,
say I started as a problem solving thing. I solved a problem for my mom. I took it to a next step. Even while designing any outfit or making any outfit, my only goal is we want to design something, we want to make something which is very, very comfortable, looks stylish, adds up to your confidence, and it's timeless. Now, when I say that our tagline is only this, which is effortless, stylish, and timeless, then my business structure also has to follow that. My business
mm.
structure or my business mind cannot think of what is in trend, which reel is in trend, which music is in
Yeah,
trend. Now suddenly the online market is very in, or suddenly influences are very in, or no, it will not go because I'm not trying to sell something, and in fact, I want to change this peer pressure in the entire fashion industry of bringing new, coming up with new collection. I don't think so. I can work where okay, summer is coming, so I'll come up with summer collection. Winter is coming, so I'll come up with winter collection. Festive is coming, so I'll come up with festive collection. No, why? When
yeah,
I am
bye.
trying to make clothes which I want people to own it for the longest period of time, then why do I want to contradict that and tell those that
Yeah,
same consumers that 2, 3 months, 4 months back what you bought, now that's old. Now this is new.
yeah,
Then I'm lying to myself.
yeah.
So I can't fit into this bringing two collection, four collection. And no, I feel whenever I feel that I've found something interesting, which I can add as a collection or as a design or as a style or as a color, I keep adding.
Mm,
And whatever the thought process I go through while doing that, I put it into the words or whatever I am going through, the conflict in my personal and professional life. I just translate that.
I feel like that's such a um, organic way of doing things, because you're doing it in kind of sync with who you are as a person, your situation, your outlook on life. Like it kind of feels very like a natural extension of you,
Yeah.
which is beautiful. I'd love to know about, you know, where the brand is today after all these years post COVID. Where is the brand today, and where is the brand currently selling? What are the channels that are working for the brand? What is your intention with the brand? if you
Okay.
have something or if you're going with the flow with the brand. Thank you for listening to the EKV podcast. If you're enjoying our episodes, consider supporting us by visiting www.ikkivi.com. That's IKKIVI.com. Since 2015, Ikivi has been thoughtfully curating modern fashion infused with Indian heritage, bringing you hand-picked pieces that blend tradition with contemporary elegance. Our passionate venture celebrates the vibrancy of contemporary design while preserving India's rich craftsmanship, creating stunning and ethical silhouettes you'll love. Our podcast is another passion project driven by our dedication to sharing meaningful stories. It is self-funded and will always be free to listen to. Your support means the world to us. Thank you for being here. Now let's get back to the episode.
See, I think my personal nature. Okay, I'm very stubborn. It kind of becomes my weakness also, and my strength also. Um, I end up choosing very difficult things. Somehow I fall in love with difficult things. That's my stubbornness, which is becomes a weakness. And then when I pick up something very difficult, I kind of get into the focus, but becomes solving it, solving a problem. And my stubbornness helps me to solve that problem, becomes a strength.
Yeah.
When you said that, everything what you're saying and your brand is looking very organic or sounding very organic, somehow I'm really little bit done with this word called organic, sustainable. That's something which is in you that can't be tagged.
Yeah.
Now, if you are vegan, you're vegan. You don't need to tell the world I'm vegan. You don't have to pick up everyone and say, hey, listen, I'm vegan. Hey, listen, I'm vegan. You're vegan. That's your choice. If I am keeping in mind sustainability, that's my nature. That's my color of the skin.
But it's become so important to communicate that nowadays so that people kind of resonate
That's
with that.
what.
So how do
Why
you
is
do
it
that?
important? If you have to say
Because when
it, if you have to say it, then people are not able to see it. I know
I
what
mean,
you're
I
saying.
completely agree with you.
I know what
I
you're saying.
completely agree with you as
I know
well.
what you're saying. It is important. It's very important. But trust me, whenever I have chosen the path where I have to do certain things because that's important, I have fallen.
Mm.
I have fallen badly.
So tell me what is something that has worked really well for you where you've kind of I'm interested with the way that you think.
I would love to tell my story. I would love to tell you if we were not doing this podcast one on one over a cup of coffee. I'll tell you how I'm practicing sustainability.
Yeah.
But do I have to create an ad and say we are sustainable? Do I have to put it on my packaging? We are sustainable. People can see and feel it.
Yeah.
That's important. If you're able to communicate that with your work, that's its sustainability. And I think somewhere everybody is going wrong. Not wrong. I think people are talking about sustainable only focusing on the material they use. Sustainability is not just the material you choose, the dyes you
Yeah.
choose. Yes, it does. I don't deny. But no, that is not enough. That is not enough. Sustainability comes with lot of factors. Keeping extremely low inventory. When you say low inventory, your accessibility of your clothes to the consumer, the journey when they place the order and it reaches to them, is a journey of patience. And that is what we have to teach as a founder, as a seller to the buyer. That's
Yeah.
sustainability. It's not like,
Yeah.
I've ordered like a bottle of water and it's going to reach me in 5
It'll come
minutes.
tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. Out. Yeah.
It's not a packed food. There's a difference between a packed food which you get in an airplane And when you go to a fine dine restaurant where the chef will ask you and then he'll start preparing from the scratch and then bring it to you. Sustainability is something where you choose the material and you stick to it. You don't constantly keep jumping from one collection to other
Mm.
collection, from one material to another material. There are so many ways of experimenting one medium in different ways, making one outfit more versatile, that I can wear this for a brunch, for a holiday, to a resort. If I layer it, I can still wear it in a cold country. If I remove the layers, I can still wear it in a hot country. I can wear it as my works to my workspace. And if I accessorize it, I can carry it off well in a party also. Now
Yeah,
making that one outfit, one style, which works so versatile, that's sustainability.
for
Teaching each
sure.
and each of your consumer, like a lot of times clients come to us, what's new, what anything new.
Mm.
I can't come up with everything every time new. i can
Yeah,
I can show you something which will your eyes will feel this is new.
yeah.
The experience will be new.
So tell me about this experience that you use to communicate with your customers. And now I'd love to talk about it as two different things, right? Like, because there is the offline world where that experience is unmatchable online. Just feeling and touching that product is something else, right? And that you
Yeah.
can't really replicate online. But what is that story online then for you as an online brand? Are you focusing at all on online or are you primarily focusing offline? What is your um, way of way of doing things?
I miss the offline structure, but we
Mm.
had a very beautiful transition period from offline to online, which was
Mm-hmm.
Instagram DMing.
Mm.
I have such lovely stories through Instagram DMing.
Yeah.
When people used to DM, I used to come up with such questions, Nini. I can't tell you. I think more than anything I've designed, or sometimes when somebody appreciates your brand, tells good things about your work, everything on one side. And this one experience of me having a one on one conversation with absolutely a stranger consumer, she's not even turned as a consumer, a stranger person. And when they tell me or they ask me, I love your this style, I love your color palette. I don't know whether I should say this on an interview like this, but people come like, my they send me a picture. My skin tone is this. I'm not very thin, or I'm extremely thin. Do you think this color will look good on me? Or, I love your jumpsuits, but my body is not for jumpsuits.
Mm.
That personal one on one when I've had with them and I've told them that it's not no color is for any particular skin, no
Yeah.
outfits are for particular body. That's what the that's what comes with the sustainability, where you actually um, spread the knowledge, teach the consumer that you are not for the clothes are for you.
Yeah.
And in that conversation, we've built up such interesting stories where I've made clothes for them and I've told them, I never thought as a marketing strategy, honestly speaking. I told them, let me make something for you. Just pick up a color which you've loved. Don't think it's for you. Pick up the
Mm.
color that, I love this, but there is a but. Pick up a style which comes with a but. I've made that. And I said, if you don't like it, I'll take it back. I never thought that I just took that risk. My gut said that to take the risk because what I could see that problem, I was so confident that I can solve it.
Mm.
And when those outfits reaches to them and they say, you know what, when I wore it, my friends only complimented. I never thought this color would look good on me.
Yeah.
That is something I can't tell you. It still gives me The world's recognition is one side.
Yeah.
It tells me I know I am doing something absolutely right.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like that one-on-one connection with customers is something that we don't necessarily get as much online, especially if you want scale or, all of that. Like it's a difficult thing to achieve, but I think that's a large differentiator for young
Yes,
brands as well. Uh, is the ability to have that one-on-one connection, like build on that, like so you understand, forget the idea of it being customer service and serving your customers, but it also helps you grow, helps you because you're
of course.
interacting, understanding
Let's accept
problems,
it.
learning.
Let's accept it that we are in the time where online is going to be there, and which is
Yeah,
also a very
yeah,
convenient thing. So I've accepted that also. But we kind of, I try doing small little things uh, to continue those experiences. Like, for example, if someone is placing an order online, we do give a call back.
hmm,
And once it reaches to them, we kind of keep a connection where we ask that we would really like to know whether it fitted you well,
yeah,
whether like a feedback. And we kind of also
yeah,
build up that relationship where we have like a huge number of online clients pan India. We have so many clients, international also. But I think, I will not say all, but I think 75% clients have already spoken to one on one with a founder.
mm, that's amazing. So going back a little bit to how you communicate your brand story, how do you communicate the brand story online, and how important is it to communicate that? We see, the
I
reason I'm
think,
asking is we have a lot of young brands that listen to this podcast as well, young business owners. So I feel like this is something that is uh, bogging people down and wondering, like how important is it? Like, do we need to stand out? How do we stand out in this noise online?
don't follow the trend.
Hmm.
Don't follow the trend is the rule number one. It's a trap.
Yeah.
Second is, uh, show your product, but don't bombard your products. You know,
Hmm.
don't just hammer the products. Tell people how are they made. Show them the feel and experience. Uh, tell more stories. Tell more stories through your brand. Be truth. Say truth. You know, those are the things
Yeah.
I think very important. Plus the experience. Like, for example, when one outfit, when we, the way we have made our packaging also, we kind of pack it in such a way that it feels very special when it reaches to you. Not that we are
Hmm.
making very expensive packaging. Um, Another thing, what we have worked on are template of sizes. So I do not know any direct way of telling the storytelling, but we do storytelling like this. Like, I choose doing so, like our sizes. I've renamed the sizes. I do not want anybody to hesitate before choosing the size.
Hmm.
So, like, we've renamed our sizes. Our medium is called modest. Our
Hmm.
large is called liberal. Our XL is called generous. And whichever we take measurements as a custom size from clients, even if it is online, those entire outfits goes with a tag called your size.
Hmm.
It doesn't go, and those measurements we list it in our directory.
Hmm.
But the tag goes as your size, which is in between sizes.
Yeah. Nice. I like
So
that. Your size.
this is this is how you do the storytelling.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
How important is um, social media and that social media presence for a young brand? Because if someone is just kind of starting out, it can be overwhelming, right? So how does a young brand approach that?
see, let's accept that social media is very important because if you're not on the social media, how do people come to know about it? It is also important that what you're doing, you kind of get the recognition and the experience what you want people to feel, that it reaches to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Um, Social media presence is very important, but as I said, don't take it everything as a project. You don't need to follow the binded rules made by the industry.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like as a business, so for young creatives to come into this and be a business owner or a business woman or man or whatever, right? It can be a bit confusing and overwhelming only because they are told to be very structured in the way that they're doing things. They need to have a plan, a business plan and goals and metrics and all of that. But at the
Yes.
same time, they're kind of numbing down their creativity. And I feel like that kind of is comes across when you're looking at a brand on social, like if you know where they stand, in terms of them sticking true to their guns and expressing themselves as who they are, as opposed to trying to be somebody that they're not really.
Um, See, I think rule number one, just start. Just start. After that, there is a stage comes where you feel that probably this is not your cup of tea. You need a professional for it.
Hmm.
Then get those kind of team who can handle probably your social media. Like when
Yeah.
I started doing it by myself. I started building a team for social media way after, like I would say almost after 2.5 years, where I started feeling
Hmm.
that everything I'm doing, and that's what
Mm.
starts happening to creative people, because you can't let go.
Yeah.
You don't trust anybody
Yeah.
more than yourself,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
very close to your heart. So, but yeah, that's where we go wrong sometimes. We need to start building up a team, make them like when Peony hires people, definitely we look into the skills and the academics, but that's not the only criteria we look into.
Hmm.
We look into that someone is on the same page of what Peony thinks and the way Peony does the storytelling, from content
Yeah.
creation to people who handle the production also.
Yeah.
So yes, anything which you will start, it will become very overwhelming. But you'll have to try all factors and then choose which
Hmm.
suits you.
Hmm.
Like there are a lot of brands which are extremely successful by first doing the entire planning, strategy, building up everything, and then executing.
Yeah.
That's also not a wrong way, but then you have to choose which is your language,
Correct.
what works well with you. And for that, you have to try, keep trying all. Like, it's like a simple example, when you enter a market, you, you, you end up standing to the first bhaji wala, and you know that you've liked the vegetables and fruits what he's selling. He's given you the price also, but still you want to actually go further, hoping and thinking
Yeah.
you'll get better quality or better price or a combination of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually you come back to that first one, or you'll
Yeah.
find the third or fourth which you've already passed, and then you go to that person and you say, this is the perfect vendor for me. Like my setting, my
Yeah.
rhythm is going with this.
Yeah.
So I think it's the
Yeah.
same way goes into the business also. From the material choosing to the social media, what story you want to say, what storytelling works for you, everything.
Yeah. My final question to you is, the other question that is confusing for young brands nowadays is especially with the Indian market. Ekivi is focused on an international market, and currently we focus our attention on the US and Australia, and that's who we're focusing on. So the plan itself kind of is very different as compared to the Indian market. When we were in India and when we were focusing on India, we felt like we needed to do a lot more pop-ups to reach more people, especially at the price points we're selling, but it was something that just wasn't in alignment with who I am and how I wanted to run the business and what my goal was with Ikivi, right? So my intention with Ikivi is really to take it international and showcase Ikivi to people that have not seen what India can produce. We're not just Indian fashion. We have so much more to us.
Yeah.
With in collaboration with the craftspeople, techniques, fabrics that we have in the country, that I just wanted more people to see what we have. So our attention kind of has moved in that direction, and it's working really well for us. And our focus is, of course, advertising on social media and all of those things. That seems to work well for us. We don't necessarily have to do pop-ups and all of that. So for your brand and for the Indian market, is there some advice as to what is working for brands nowadays? If they were to begin, like, which direction should they start with? What is something that has helped you grow as a business?
See, somewhere I feel the price factor plays a major role, and that's
Yeah,
what the most um, fortunate and unfortunate decision to take as a creative person.
yeah.
How do you price something which is an emotional labor and a handcrafted quality luxury?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
somewhere you have to really bring that balance where you do
Mm-hmm.
not go completely overboard in pricing, and you're also not being very underpriced. One is that. Second is, as you're saying, that as I said, social media is very important. It's very important to tell your story, and not just by the product what you're making. And I think people outside India are getting extremely attracted towards the our handicrafts, our artisans, our way of working, our colors, our fabrics, the way the brand structures, the homegrown brands, the slow fashion is working right now, where there are so many interesting things can come out of one medium.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you can showcase or do storytelling with more things, what you can do with your clothes, that's where I think you can really make people connect to your brand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether uh,
What do you mean by that? More things with
um,
what do you mean?
see, for example, like in Peony, like I never thought of that. I never had a very conscious effort of being sustainable, but
Mm.
somehow through a problem solving nature, I don't know why and what made me. I was never able to let go of or throw away the leftover pieces what after the production was left.
Mm.
I didn't know what I was going to do. But sometimes we do collect things that I don't want to throw this because it's very pretty.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't know what you're going to do about it, but you kind of keep storing, and then eventually it gets its own place. So I kind of
Yeah.
stored all of those leftover fabrics for 2 years just because I didn't want it to let go of it, and my heart kind of pinched because I didn't want it to throw away. But
Mm.
eventually, we decided is that let's make our own buttons out of it.
Mm.
That kind of also became a design element. It kind of helped us that we are getting an exact matching button also because we
Yeah.
make our own colors. So to find the exact matching color buttons was very difficult.
Yeah.
But then this
Yeah.
helped. One problem, two
Yeah.
problems, three problems, and one solution. Um, like I always wanted to. I've always been into art, so we started making artworks out of our leftover
Mm.
fabrics.
Mm.
Like the
I
artworks
love
what you're
that.
seeing here are made all out of fabrics.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I never thought that how are we going to sell it,
Yeah.
or what we are going to do later about it. How are we going to
Mm.
produce it? So we started making artworks. People started loving that. We started putting up that on social media. So there are a lot of things you can tell within
Yeah.
your own brand. Like there has to
Yeah.
be a curation. You can't just keep making clothes and keep, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah. I do get it. I get it. Yeah. I love that. I love the idea of kind of working within what you
Like we
have and
created a
creating
journal.
more. Mm-hmm.
It's a journal which I have designed, but we thought that let's use our fabric on this. Then these
Mm.
are all leftover fabrics.
Mm-hmm. So nice.
So I mean, you can do a lot of collaborations with people. Bring in
Mm.
people, collaborate with people which you don't know how to do, and they will come on that page to solve your problem and something interesting you will do with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so
Yeah.
many things where two brands, three brands, two creative people, different mediums can come on the same board and do interesting things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
the
There's,
storytelling of a brand and uh, keeping it interesting as well as evolving, and you also broadening your horizon.
yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I'd love to end on that note because I feel like you've really kind of, with the last couple of stories that you just told us, kind of encapsulated our entire conversation, right from, trusting your instinct to being creative to, all of these new ways of doing things in terms of collaboration and things like that. I love that. So thank you so much, Karishma, for joining me today. It was such a pleasure to talk to you in such detail.
Thank you so
As always,
much.
I enjoy these conversations because I just get to know the person so much better. And I love that. I'm so excited to continue showcasing the products that you make and telling the story of the brand in so much more detail now that I have so much more information.
See, this is we don't write and claim all these things.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay
Yeah.
that slowly people come to know. But
Yeah.
that's what no the patience to
Yeah.
have being patient and also teaching your consumers to be patient and gradually know more layers. No, you don't meet someone and you want to know everything about that person in one go. Imagine, like, I'm meeting you
Yeah.
over a cup of coffee for the first time, and you're telling me from your birth traumas to your success stories to your exes and presents and futures and everything, and I'm telling, can't. I mean,
Yeah.
it has to,
It takes time.
yeah, naturally, consciously, subconsciously, everything. Like it, I
Yeah.
can't like keep telling we are sustainable. See, we are doing this. See, we are zero waste. See, we are organic. See, we are stylish. See, we are new. See, we are different. If I have to keep
Yeah.
shouting that, that means somewhere I'm going wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Be yourself, basically.
It's tough. It's difficult,
It's tough.
but it gives you peace.
Yeah. And it'll get you in your pathway to wherever.
Yeah, you do
Yeah.
you. I
Yeah.
will tell
Yeah.
every new brand coming up, just I will just say one thing. You do you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.